Hi everyone. Today what we're doing is we're solving by factoring. We're solving by factoring, and that's our main goal today. It is the culmination, I would say, of everything we've been doing so far. It's really taking everything that we've been doing since the first day in August when you came into class and we talked about what x was. This is what our kind of goal is headed toward. Solving for x. Now, our problem started off very simply as way back when by saying, let's say 3x plus 2 is equal to 8. And we learned all the steps in order for us to solve for x. And in this case, you can see there's only one x. This isn't x squared, x cubed. This isn't fancy. This is just x. And we learned steps to solve these equations. We use opposite operations. We get rid of the 2 first. I said because it's farther away. 2 minus 2 becomes 0. We are left with 3x. 8 minus 2 is 6. Now we still are stuck with a 3. How do we get rid of the 3? Opposite operations. Opposite multiply by 3 is divide by 3. So you really have to know undo something. I mean, common sense that if you turn something right to lock it, you turn it left to unlock it, right? So this is our undo operation. So the opposite of multiply is divide. And in this case, 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now, is this a true statement? Would this work? Does this work? Right, and that's a big question. Does it work? Why is 2 an answer? Because if I plugged in x is now 2, is what we call a substitution. We're going to substitute a variable in. If x is now 2, right? See, x was here. Well, does it equal 8? 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is, oh my goodness, you have solved the key. You found the number that worked. So our goal in algebra has been pretty much solve for x. Solve for the value that would work for us. And if it's another letter a, solve for a, solve for b. Remember, x is just a variable. It's just a letter holding the place of a number. So as questions got harder, we had square roots, we had squares, we had absolute values. One that we did was, for instance, if I write absolute value of 3x plus 2 is equal to 8, we had a trick here. The way we got rid of the absolute value, look, there's a wall. I built a wall here. There's a wall. How do we tear down the wall? We split it into 2 versions. So at every step of the way, I threw another obstacle in front of you. And we had learned steps, we learned methods to deal with that new obstacle, right? The more letters you learn, the more words you can spell, the more words you know, the more sentences you can write. And the more sentences you write, the more grammar you need to make sure that sentence doesn't get confusing. So as we progressively got better, as we progressively did more complicated things, we found tools to deal with those complicated things. We can't be babies forever, right? So in this case, again, opposite operations. We're going to get rid of the 2's on both sides here to do it really fast. We're left with 3. X is equal to 6. 3x is equal to negative 10 here. Take a look. Negative 8 and negative 2 gives me negative 10. You owe me $8. You owe me $2. You now owe me $10. Then we're going to divide both sides by 3 because we're trying to get x alone. And we're left with x is equal to 2, like we said before. And our next version was negative 10 over 3. So as problems got more difficult, we found other methods to solve for them. Now, the last section we were dealing with x squared problems. And we saw x squared problems in this form. That's x squared plus 6x plus 8. Now, we were not asked to solve for it, but we were learning a method called factoring. And I asked you guys to instead factor this. Now, this is a level 1 problem. Level 1 because we have no number in front. That's always an easy one. So can you guys think of numbers that would make up 8? What numbers would multiply to become 8 that add up to 6? And that's how I taught factoring. It's a puzzle. We're trying to figure out what numbers could I jiggle around and make them fit. I'm seeing 4 and 2. Thank you. And that's right. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm right here. So you guys can see 4 times 2 is 8. And doesn't 4 plus 2 become 6? And repeatedly on my work, I always wrote down the numbers. I was hoping that you guys would do this on the test. And many of you guys did a great job on writing which numbers that you did that worked. Some of you guys, again, were still using your phones to solve for it, which was, I had a minus points because you didn't show me that you had the logic behind your solution. So I'm going to choose 4 and 2 because those multiplied become 8. X times x in the front become x squared, and in this case, plus plus. So we have kicked this up a notch. No longer are we dealing with little baby x's here. We are dealing with x squared. So we've leveled up the problem. We're no longer first graders, we're working with second grade problems. And I mean, first grade, second grade is not a big jump. But when it comes to algebra from x to x squared, we need new methods to solve for it. And this new method that we're going to use today is we're going to say this question now. If x squared plus 6x plus 8, what would you be to make u equal to 0? What numbers could I plug into x that would make this go to 0? So we're going to keep this in my mind. Okay, I'm going to keep this here thinking about this, right? I'm going to keep this in my brain. And we're going to come back to it in just a moment. But here is our new type of question. Solve for x. Okay. Now, if I see x squared plus 6x plus 8, let's try some of the things that we previously just did to solve for x, to try to get x alone. We're going to try this, okay? And it's going to lead us to a dead end. So don't worry about it. But I'm going to write here so you guys know this already. It's going to be a dead end, okay? Dead end. And the method is, let's just try getting rid of numbers that we thought, that we did before. Let's try getting rid of the 8 because we're trying x alone. So if I minus 8 to both sides, x squared plus 6x equals to negative 8. Now, we have a bunch of x's still stuck on this side. And that's where we have to learn is, I can't deal with this problem. Before, on all our previous problems, once we did a couple moves, x was alone. See, x was by itself. It was pretty easy to get x by itself. But now it's almost like the water's contaminated. And there's a bunch of x's here. And our traditional level 1 problems cannot be solved this way. So today we're going to apply our last chapter's methods to solve for this problem. Now, I'm going to teach you guys one more rule before we combine all our learning here. It's this rule. Let me ask you this question on the side, okay? So I'm going to say this, we're stuck here. We're stuck because there are too many x's, and I can't combine x squared and 6x cannot be combined. I can't mix those together to only have one x. So we are stuck here. So I'm going to give you this other rule before we come back, and I'm going to bring everything we learned together back together, okay? So here's my rule. What is 3 times 0? What is 5 times 0? What is 0 times 6? What is 0 times 8? What's the thing about 0? Anything times 0 is 0. And this rule is called, there's actually a rule. Thank you, Jason. That's exactly it. It's called the zero product property. The zero product property says, okay, people in math, we name things as simple as possible. We don't come up with a fancy chemistry name, a fancy physics name. We just call it what it is. This is zero multiply rule. That's what the zero product property means. It literally is saying zero multiplying stuff rule. So what's the rule? Anything times zero, anything times zero, 0 times anything is going to be 0. If you multiply anything times 0, you have nothing of it. Remember, multiplication is fast counting, right? Imagine if I told you a pack of gum is 6 pieces. Fine. If you have 1 pack of gum, you have 6 pieces. If you have 2 packs of gum, that's 2 times 6 is 12. If you have 3 packs of gum, you have 18 pieces. But what if you have 0 packs of gum? You have 0 gum, okay? Let's talk about bikes. Bikes have 2 wheels, okay? If you have 1 bike, you have 2 wheels. If you have 2 bikes, you have 2 times 2 is 4. If you have 3 bikes, you have 3 times 2 is 6. But what if you have no bikes? You have 0 wheels, okay? So let's say you buy a pack of water is 12 bottles of water, right? 12 bottles of water. Okay, 12 bottles of water. So if you have one box of water, you have 12. If you have 2 boxes, you have 24. If you have 3, you have 36. So they're multiplying. But what do you have? No boxes of water? You have nothing. You have no water. So this zero product property just pretty much says if you have 0 of some set, you still got nothing. Okay. And we're going to use this as our cheat in. This is our way of getting into solving this problem. Now let's go back and talk about this problem. X squared plus 6x plus 8 is equal to 0. We could randomly guess, right? Have you ever, hey, actually, no, let's try this. Right now in the chat, can you guys guess my age? Mr. Ko, how old are you? So guessing, we end up guessing, you guys threw out like 10 different guesses and none of them were right. They were close. They were very close. But same thing for math. You just guessing an answer is a terrible way to solve it, right? If I just keep plugging numbers here, if I plug in 1, okay, I'm going to plug in 1. Let's plug in 1 squared plus 6 times 1 plus 8. Is that going to be 0? That's a 1 plus 6 plus 8. Nope, that's not 0. That's like bigger than 0. What if I use -1? Okay, this -1. -1 squared plus 6 times -1 plus 8. This is 1 minus 6 plus 8. Oh my gosh, this was so close. 9 minus 6 is 3. Close enough, right? Let me try one more. Let's try -2. Okay, -2. -2 squared plus 6 times -2 plus 8. This is 4 minus 12 plus 8. Oh my goodness, did we get it? 4 minus 12 is -8. We guessed it. Oh my goodness. I should go buy a lottery ticket right now. Okay. But even in this case, we just got lucky. It's just me straight guessing. So I'm going to give you a method that we do not have to guess. And that's the point about us having a method to solve these problems. We don't want to be guessing. I don't want to be guessing if I send a person up into space, guessing he's going to come back home. I don't want to guess, right, if I have enough money to pay my mortgage this week, right? So our goal is to not to guess, but we want to make sure we plan. So here's our problem again. X squared plus 6x plus 8. How can I solve for x and make this go to 0? And we're going to use factoring. And that is the gimmick. If you see x squared, the first method you want to try is factoring. Try this first because it's our easiest method. And if it doesn't work, I want to teach you guys a backup method later. But we're going to first try factoring first. Factoring first. Example, whenever you think about division, what's the first number you always try to divide the number by? No matter what number it is. What number do you always try dividing by? You always try dividing by 2 first, right? No matter what the number is, you just try 2. Same thing here. We're going to try to factor first. Now, I want us to factor it. Well, didn't we factor this problem already? Let's go back up a couple of the pages. We did factor it. And this was a factoring problem. Here, let's go back. So we said our fast way to factoring, we said 2 and 4 does multiply to become 8. Yep, they do. And they do add up to become 6. Our factors are, oh, sorry, wrong number. And here's what I'm going to say. It's still equals to 0. Okay? X squared plus 6x plus 8 is equal to 0. If I factor, this is the same equation. Now, here is the trick. And this is why this is a super famous trick solved by factoring. I can then say, I want each of you guys to become 0. And I'll tell you guys why this is an amazing way of solving it, right? Not only do we practice factoring, but now we're going to do some literally first week math from Algebra 1. Let's solve for x. Minus 2 minus 2. X is equal to -2. Oh my gosh, that was my answer from before. And minus 4, solving them separately. It's like you and your brother or sisters got separated on different family trips. One stayed here, one went on a trip to visit family in Arizona. You guys have different experiences, right? So you're going to do your thing, you're going to do your thing. And turns out we have 2 answers. x is negative 2 and negative 4. And let me go ahead and double check it just to make sure, and then we're going to come back and study why this is true. Negative 2 squared plus 6 times negative 2 is equal to, so this is x equals to negative 2. Darn it, I forgot to write plus 8. Plus 8 is equal to, and then on the right side, x is equal to negative 4. We're plugging it in, we're checking right now. Negative 4 squared plus 6 times negative 4 plus 8. Would you become 0 for me? Would this number, would x be negative 2 and x be negative 4, both be solutions to make this go to 0? If it's winning, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. This is negative 8 plus 8. Oh my gosh, that's 0. It worked. On the right side, let's see if it worked on the right side. This is 16 minus 24 plus 8. 16 minus 24 is negative 16. Negative 8. I'm sorry. Negative 8 plus 8. Oh my goodness. It became 0, 2. Not only do we have one answer, it's like if anyone has a twin in the family, I'm a twin, but it's like the doctor telling you, oh, you're pregnant. Here's the first picture of your kid, and here's your second picture. Why do I have two pictures here? You don't get one answer, you get two answers. Surprise! You get twins. And turns out with x squared problems, you get two answers. And that's something we have a rule for in math. The exponent tells you how many answers are possible. We have up to two answers here. So we want to find all those answers. Now, so how did we do this and why does this work? Why is it when I separate it into two different answers, this works? And this is where the zero product property comes in. Let's go in and go back to our factoring step. Let's look at the zero product property. And this is why it works. We said our factor was x plus 2, x plus 4 equals 0. Okay? So we took our complicated problem with too many possibilities and we said, you know what? Okay, let's break it up. Let's make this easier. So I separated it into two easier problems. Okay. Break this up into two easier problems. Okay. And then we say this, okay, if I make this guy 0, what's 0 times anything? Wouldn't that be 0? What if I make the right side 0 times anything? Wouldn't that also be 0? And this is what the trick happens. The trick happens says, hey, what if I make x plus 2 equals to 0? What if I make x plus 4 equal to 0? So we're actually, though we do them at the same time, we are actually doing them separately. We're saying, okay, what if the first person goes to the bathroom first? And then the second person goes to the bathroom next? That's not we can't both go to the bathroom at the same time, right? We want to watch our stuff outside. Anyone ever go to like the theme park and you guys like have a bunch of stuff and you guys kind of all go to the bathroom at the same time? So you go first, then I go next. That's what we're doing. Except we're saying, hey, I want you to go 0 first, and then you can go 0 next. Because if I plug in, let's visually take a look at this. I want you to visually take a look at this. If I write x plus 2 times x plus 4, and I say x equals to negative 2, negative 2, negative 2, let's go ahead and plug it in and see what happens. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0, but negative 2 plus 6 is 2. Now, what is 0 times 2? Do we even care about the 2? Do we honestly care about the other number? If we know one side is 0 already, I don't care about the other number because 0 times anything is 0. And that's why the zero product property is so important for us. It makes us lazy. We say, if I can make one side 0, we're good to go. If I can make the other side 0, we're good to go. So now let me show you how fast these problems are. Here is our next set of examples. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you the factored version. X plus 5, x minus 3. What numbers would make this whole problem, these two parts, go to 0? They're two separate answers. Can you guys figure out what they would be? What answers would make them both go to 0? Okay, different numbers, but what are the two numbers that would make this problem here? What are the two possibilities to make this problem go to 0? And just to say, if I multiply this out, this would be x squared plus 2x minus 6. This is what the original problem would have looked like. But let's see. On the left, x plus 5 equals x plus 5 equals 0. What number would I cancel out with a positive 5? Minus 5 minus 5. X equals to negative 5. Negative 5 is one of my answers because doesn't negative 5 cancel out with a positive 5? And if I can make one side go to 0, the whole problem 0. Let's look at the right side. X minus 3 is equal to 0. What number would make this guy go to 0? Plus 3 to both sides. This is literally the first week answer, x equals to 3. And the right side, if I had the number negative 5 or 3, they would both go to 0. Now looking at the original equation over here on my right, if I plug in negative 5, do you think negative 5 is going to make this go to 0? I don't know, Mr. Ko. Well, let me show you here. Let me prove this to you that this is going to work. It doesn't look like it's going to work. Oh, wait, whoops, wrong number. This is 15. This is 15. Change it. That's 15. I couldn't multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. Mr. Ko can't multiply. That was 15, sorry. 5 times 3 is 15. Haha. Okay, this is going to be 25 minus 10 minus 15 is equal to 0. And that's positive 15 minus 15 is, oh, hey, it worked. If I use a number 3 squared plus 3 times 2 times 3 minus 15 is equal to 0. Is that true too? 9 plus 6 minus 15 is equal to 0. 15 minus 15 is equal to 0 because 9 plus 6 is 15. We solve, both these numbers work. And the reason why we want to see that these factoring problems can solve is that we no longer have to look at it from this big problem perspective. We can make it into two smaller, easier problems that we can solve them separately. Now I'm going to give you 3 more problems right now, and you're going to quickly tell me what the answers to those 3 problems are. Here we go. Here's my first problem, second problem, and the third problem here. Okay, here we go. You're going to make these all go to 0. Go ahead and set this up real quick. Give yourself some nice space. I want to tell you what numbers we're going to write in there. Okay? We're going to write x minus 4, x minus 3, x plus 2, x minus 5, x plus 10, x minus 4. Okay? So can you tell me, just by looking at these numbers, what numbers would solve the first, second, and third question? X is equal to, x is equal to, x is equal to, and go ahead and give me my 2 answers. Okay, go ahead and give me my 2 answers that would work here. Let's see if you guys can do it. I'm gonna give you guys 30 seconds. That's it, 30 seconds. See if you guys can figure out what numbers will work. What would work with x plus 2 and x minus 5? What x value would cancel out a plus 2? What number would cancel out a minus 5? X plus 10, what would cancel out a plus 10? What would cancel out a minus 4? So if you want, we can write it, and we see it's always the opposite operation. X equals to 4. X minus 3 is equal to 0. The opposite of minus 3 is plus 3. 3. Now, that is great for these easy problems. We could write it out, and writing out is always super important, understanding where these numbers are from. But now, mental math here. What will cancel out a plus 2? A minus 2. What will cancel out a minus 5? A plus 5. What will cancel out a plus 10? Minus 10. What will cancel out a minus 4? Plus 4. That's how fast this is now. Don't let your mind get blown away too fast. Now, so your IXLT is really working on these types of problems, right? They're going to actually give it to you just like this. Tell me what's a 0. What if they give you a problem that takes more steps? Well, fine. write it out. Make the left side go to 0. Minus 1, minus 1. 2x equals to negative 1. Then divide by 2. Okay, we solve for 1. On the right side, oh, no, we know what it is. That's negative 3, right? So we have 2 answers here. So if it's a problem that we were working on, remember, I said we were working on this right at the beginning of Algebra 1. And we're going to use everything that we learned already back into solving these harder problems. On the right side, okay, so let's go ahead and look here. Our next problem, what if I write x squared plus 6x plus 9, okay, equals 0. This problem here is a special problem. What two numbers multiply to become 9 but add up to become 6? Hopefully you'll see 3 and 3. So this is a perfect square problem. Now I'm going to write it out. X plus 3 equals 0. What number will make this go to 0? X is negative 3. And the same answer for both of them. Negative 3 happens twice. So what I want to say here is that if we have a factored problem, if we have a problem, a quadratic problem, x squared, we can factor it on our first try, and then we can solve it from there. And that's what your next IXL skill will be. So whether it's level 1, level 2, level 3 problem, when it comes to factoring, we can then factor it, make it equal to 0, and then solve for it. That's what you guys are going to practice in IXL today. And that's it.